and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, you guys have been with me a long time. I'm so bad. I don't eat right. I don't do anything healthy. And yet I'm blessed to bring on people that do all the healthy stuff and tell me what I should do, and then I don't do it. With me is Hillary Cruz.
Hi.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Simply Be Wellness?
Simply Be Wellness.
Okay. Got to ask you, why'd you get into this?
Well, it started in 2012 with just yoga. And since then, it has expanded into all kinds of different services with health and wellness. But it started with just yoga. I was a classroom teacher at the time, teaching middle school. And I've experienced myself a little bit of trauma and things that I wanted to, to utilize yoga for my own benefit, to help out, reduce stress, migraines, things like that. So being a teacher, I knew that the best way to learn something was to learn it as though you're going to teach it. And so I entered a yoga training program at One Yoga Planet in Fort Pierce, in downtown Fort Pierce.
Shameless plug.
And yes, and well, they're no longer there, but they were at the time.
And quality.
So that's where I got my teacher training, and I went back to the classroom with no intent to really to teach yoga, and I started finding myself just naturally using it with my students. Helping them with test anxiety, helping them with de-stressing in the classroom, helping them learn to self-regulate. It went into teaching in the classroom with the students, and the teachers found out about it. They wanted to do some classes after school. The principal wanted me to do some professional development. So it started at school, and then we started doing classes off campus because the teachers wanted to take class away from school. And then it started to be just kind of yoga out of the back of my car. Like I kept my mats and everything in the trunk, and wherever a class was needed, I would bring yoga. So I've taught at rehab centers. I've taught at the exact opposite, different places down in, like in downtown, different bars and pubs and things like that, coffee shops, parks, really just wherever it's needed, I bring the yoga. And so it evolved from there. So I now offer Reiki. I have become a professional and personal life coach, business coach, health and wellness coaching. And so it's just it's continuing to evolve. As I evolve and learn and grow, I'm sharing those services as well.
I get it, because and I have an amazing facility and I'm blessed, but it really started in my living room. Okay? And almost everything I had back then was bought at garage sales and thrift stores. Okay? This industry didn't exist back then. So I was blessed. So I get it. And what's really cool about when I bring someone on and they tell their backstory, you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. So are you not teaching in schools anymore, regular schools?
Right now I am teaching. I am doing more of it's like a floating coaching position. I go into different classrooms and I help out the teachers that are in need. I am not sure if I'm going to go back full-time to the classroom, but I feel I definitely have a place in the classroom. My heart is there. And so I always see myself being involved in education in some way, shape, or form, whether it's before or after, or, as a facilitation coming into campuses.
But you said something interesting. You said for people who have anxiety about taking tests.
Yes.
That would be me.
Yes.
Okay? I think part of that is ADHD. Okay?
Could be.
But I remember, in an old age, definitely has fit into the process, because I took the real estate test in Jersey and passed it first time, a breeze. When I moved here, and I'm now in my 60s taking the test, it took me 3 times to pass it. Okay? And you said 75, I got 64 3 times. And then I finally passed. But I had anxiety about going and doing it. Does yoga help with that? What helps with that?
So we have our nervous system. Anytime you get into, and it's ingrained in us, it goes back to we're we're of the animal kingdom. Like, we have very primal instincts. So
Right.
anytime we feel threatened, our body doesn't necessarily know if it's real or not. So a test, it's not something that's going to end your life necessarily, but if you go into it with that anxiety, it kicks into the fight or flight. So your sympathetic nervous system. So when your sympathetic nervous system is activated, that's when you get those sensations of feeling anxious. You can't focus really as well. You might start feeling like the wheels are spinning. Maybe you get sweaty palms. It's just hard to focus. Yoga, doing the practice on the mat regularly, it gives you, just like anything else, the more you practice, the easier it is to drop into when you need it. So with yoga, with the breathing, with the uniting, the movement with the breath, it gives you practice activating your rest, your restoration, your relaxation, your parasympathetic nervous system. So it helps you, first of all, become aware of, ooh, I'm in this anxious state. And then it gives you something to do about it. So often we're aware, but then we become lost because we don't know what to do. So now we have this awareness, but what do I do? So yoga, it gives you that practice. Okay, I'm aware. I can do one of two things, or multiple things. I can drop into my breathing, and then dropping into your breathing, that's going to slowly de-escalate you and drop you into your rest and relaxation mode. You can also do body scanning where you're checking in, am I holding myself really tight? So often, especially if you've experienced trauma, we tend to clench our fists, we don't even know. Our shoulders come up, our jaws tighten, our foreheads furrow. So those are all signs that you're holding tension and you're not just completely relaxing and releasing that. So yoga helps you on the mat tune in and become aware of those things so that when you're off the mat in the real world, you can then use those tools. You take them with you. And anytime you feel triggered for whatever reason, you can drop into your breathing, you can drop into your body scanning. And the more you practice, it's like muscle memory. Your body just goes right into it. So it's easier to stay. It lowers your blood sugar, your blood pressure, not blood sugar, sorry, your blood pressure. It helps you stay in that ability to self-regulate and not be so at, the whims of your ups and downs.
Okay, so with that being said, let me ask you this. What about someone like me? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can't focus. Mm-hmm. So when someone says, well, do yoga or meditate, mm-hmm. It's like, how? I can't sit still, I can't.
And you're not the only one. And for so many people, so there's a pose at the end of yoga called Shavasana. Okay. And that's literally, it's just to lay without effort. And for some people, it's supposed to be anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And for some people, it's the best part of class. For others, it's the most dreaded because they have to lay and just be with themselves for 5 to 10 minutes. And I would encourage, a Yin practice is great. It's not so much of the power flow of the exercise. A Yin practice is where you lay and it's like 10 Shavasanas. You hold the pose for 4 to 5 minutes and you just lay and you become the observer of self. You start to watch your thoughts. So meditation is not to be without thought. Relaxation is not to be without thought. As a matter of fact, the more you try to tell your mind to turn off, the more it doesn't. So it's almost like you just need to lay. And what I tell my students is tune into your senses. So you want to watch, I imagine as though my mind is an empty sky and the thoughts are just clouds floating by. So I will close my eyes and I just watch the thoughts float by. And while you're doing that, you're simultaneously feeling your weight being supported by the floor beneath you. You're feeling the temperature on your skin. You're tuning into things that root you in the here and now while you're observing your thoughts go by. And then if you find that you're caught up in your thoughts, you're no longer in the room, you're fully in your to-do list, what you're going to have for dinner, wherever your mind goes, you just slowly, there's no judgment, there's no, I can't believe I lost my focus again. You just bring yourself back to your senses, what's around me, I'm on my mat, I'm grounded, and you begin to watch your thoughts again.
Okay, you brought up an interesting word. It's called grounded. Mm-hmm. So back in 2018, I filmed a doctor seminar, and I went to him, and he did 105 pounds of blood work and a test called an ANS test, which is an electronic test. And he said to me, this is life. This is the event. Wayne, you're here. You need to eat raw. Well, that will never happen. You need not to eat any fast food and give up soda. That was easy. And you need to come for IV therapy, but I couldn't. It was too far. And you need to go to the beach at least 3 times a week and take off your shoes and ground yourself. Well, I didn't do any of that stuff. And then 10 weeks later, I had a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
So he predicted a heart attack. Now, that was in 2018, around September. I have not been to the beach to ground myself, and I keep getting yelled at to go do it. So now my question to you is it like, can you go with other people and do it, or do you have to go by yourself so that your mind is clearer and you're not have tons of distractions?
So it depends on the individual, and it doesn't have to be at the beach necessarily. It can really be anywhere outside. When I talk to people about grounding, I suggest definitely with your shoes off, walking barefoot. Whenever I feel like I need to ground, I just go out to my backyard and I walk around barefoot in the grass. It's not necessarily just walking, it's really feeling. It's almost like a walking meditation. It's feeling your feet connect to the floor. It's allowing yourself to feel like almost like you're gripping with your toes. What you're doing is you're putting your body on the earth, whether it's the beach, in the ocean, on the grass, walking through the woods, and it all comes down to energy and frequency.
So true.
And so the earth does have an energetic pulse, a frequency to it. And so what you're doing is you're essentially removing yourself from everything that could disconnect you, and you're trying to put yourself in that element to reconnect to that frequency.
I mean, I believe in energy. I'm blessed because I meet a lot of people, and I sit across from them, and there's definite energy that comes off people when I'm interviewing them. Okay? So I find where there's a connection and where there's not the connection. There was a young lady here before, and I did her interview, and we connected. Sweetheart, great lady, also has a backstory, okay? And she hasn't spoken about her backstory. And we're going to try to get her to open up, but on a podcast, because then you don't have to see her.
Right.
Probably easier that way.
A little safer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm blessed because I'm a guy, and I talk about being molested as a kid. And don't talk about it. So I'm blessed to be able to help others. But yeah, I believe in energy. After my heart attack, I found out I was an empath, which is horrible. Probably the hardest thing to deal with. But I don't have, the patience. So I'll be there trying to relax, and I'll see a shiny object, and I'll go look and lose total focus. The other part that I have is that I'm not as young as I used to be, so doing different movements in yoga would be harder. 3 is I lost 40% of my lung function back in 2010. So I'll cough because it's my body trying to get air. And psychosomatic, it'll come up when I say it. But so those things are hard for me, and I've dealt with a number of people who do yoga. And I told you, my doctor told me to eat healthy. I did give up soda. I did give up fast food. If I have Burger King or McDonald's once every month or once every 2 months, it's a lot. And they say that you don't have to give it up. You just have to cut it down to a minimum when it comes to those things.
And it's about balance too, also. It's just like anything else. You want to make sure that what you're doing is balancing out. That you're not too heavy in one area and too, because you can overdo anything. You can overdo water. You can overdo.
People don't know you can drown by drinking.
Exactly. And so sometimes it's all about finding balance, and it's really tuning into yourself as well, because what's good for you, even though it might be like textbook what's quote unquote healthy or good, it might not resonate with me based on my individual constitution, my makeup, things like that.
I agree.
So it is definitely down to the individual, and I always teach that in yoga too. It's your practice, just like it's your life, it's your choices, it's your practice. You have to tune in to you. It's all about self-awareness and being mindful, and it goes back to that. I am the observer of myself, and what does that mean?
We talk about it because I was in the hospital 28 days with my lung illness. I had triple bypass. Mm-hmm. I had a wife that had 3 heart attacks, 2 strokes, 4 kidney transplants. Mm-hmm. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Okay? They brought up Insure when I was in kidney failure. It's like the worst thing. They had me as a 27-year-old woman. Mm-hmm. Okay? If you don't watch out for yourself, because you know what your body... Mm-hmm. Okay? My lung illness never goes away. Most people who are on it are on steroids the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. I got off steroids as soon as I was feeling better. Mm-hmm. My doctor yelled at me and screamed, but he said, "You're doing good. You know what it feels like. If it comes back, get back on steroids and get your butt in here." Mm-hmm. I know what my body feels like when I go through that again.
Yes.
So I guess people need to know themselves before taking someone who's out of the picture, even though they have a license as a doctor, mm-hmm. into the picture.
Yes.
You know, when we talk about me being molested as a kid, you can't go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. That's not going to fix the problem unless they've been through it. When you go to for addiction coaching, most of those coaches have been through it. They know the scenario.
Right.
It's so important to use a professional in almost everything you do mm-hmm. in your industry. If you try to do some of these things without a professional, you can easily hurt yourself.
Yes, and that's true. So many people, especially now with Zoom and going online, so often they do the classes at home, but it is much different being in an environment where you have an instructor with you who can see, you know, could you possibly injure yourself based on the way that you're moving, you know, where they're able to put eyes on you and help you through that. And then it's also good because you can ask those questions in class,
right, where
you have that, you know, that ability to interact with others.
All right, we're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a website?
Yes, I do have a website. It's simplybewellnessteam.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
I'm working on studio location. I have a studio location in Port St. Lucie.
Okay.
It's not quite large enough to hold full classes at the moment. But I am working on, I'm in the process of getting my curriculum approved to start certifying yoga instructors. So that's really exciting.
Very exciting.
So I now have a place to do that. I'm hoping to start offering teacher trainings in the near future. And I have... other than that, I have set classes throughout the area that people can go to. I am at Cool Beans coffee shop in Fort Pierce every Saturday at 10. I am at, this is a new exciting class that we have going on. Not that Cool Beans is not new and exciting, but tonight is the first class on Tuesday. It's called Wind Down Yoga, and that's at XO Beauty Bar, right nearby here, also in Fort Pierce off US 1. And that's going to be Tuesdays from 5 to 6.
Cool.
And there's a glass of wine included.
But they can find you on Facebook,
Instagram,
on your website, and they'll know where you're at.
Yes, and the schedule's online as well.
Everybody, you got to check Hillary out, because if you're doing it just to do, you might as well not do it at all. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. With that, have a great day, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you.